Good afternoon. Let's look at some Greenskinz lists. I've changed my lists. Let's have a look. But first, of course, I'd like to thank all my patrons. You guys are the real heroes. And go check out Baron of Dice. Use code MDG for 5% off at checkout. Ooh, 5%. And come join the Discord. I can't speak highly enough of all the great folks in my Discord. Some of them have been there for almost 2 years now. Absolutely fantastic community. I wish I could take credit, but I really can't. It's I've been very lucky and fortunate just to have such amazing folks hanging out in the Discord all the time. So come check it out. Okay, some lists. So yeah, my Kruleboyz list didn't change at all. It didn't change at all. I still like Kronspine, but again, of all the manifestation lures that you can take, Primal Energies, I think, Morbid Conjurations, and Kronspine. I think all three are good. I think it depends on your playstyle if you want to have some big healing or whatever, but generally speaking, my list has not changed. So it's a Snatcher boss with 2 units of Reinforced Gut Rippers, lots of meat on the front line. I'm definitely getting some huge damage off with my Snatcher boss and Venom Crusted Weapons and all this. A Vulture boss with Slippery Scumbag with 3 units of Monster Killers. Still aggressively priced. Still aggressively included in my list. Very, very strong. Excellent sneak targets. And then my general is a Swamp Caller Shaman with a Swamp Staff. So I have 2 times +1 casts. And then Bolt Boys with priority target. Nothing really changed. I'm still taking Kronspine. 2 casts, 3 drops. 1990. The only variation really is if you wanted to run a kill bow. I'm liking the kill bow more and more as time goes on. So essentially what you can do is you can just cut 10 gut rippers to include a kill bow. You could also cut 20 gut rippers to include 2 kill bows if you wanted to. 2 kill bows is really scary. It depends on what's going on in your meta. Would you rather have another brick of infantry, another huge reinforced brick of infantry, or would you rather have 2 kill bows? Are you playing Usharon? Are you playing Stormcast Eternal Dragons? There are so many big centerpieces. Is there a lot of Kragnos where you're playing? Are there lots of Gargants where you're playing? If you want to just be super kitted out to be anti-monster, pew, pew, pew. And that's it. I mean, for Kruleboyz, it stayed pretty much the same. Ironjawz is a little bit more of a change because Kragnos went down from 680 to 580 points. In my list, it was enough for me to include a War Chanter. So before, my list was just this exact same thing with no War Chanter. But now we're going for a War Chanter. Now, I'm not really sure about the difference between taking a War Chanter and taking a second weird knob. The advantage of the second weird knob is all of a sudden we're 4 casts. So if there's a lot, obviously there's a lot of manifestations running around. So if you are just 4 casts, you can say well, no, I'm just going to get rid of your manifestations. I have 4 banishments on my turn. I don't care about my spells, right? If I can cast a spell, that's cool. But if I'm taking Primal Energy, I like quite a bit here. Because I like to be able to throw the Life Swarm behind Kragnos just to give him some extra healing if needed. Kragnos, you don't want him to die, and because he has a good save, I think it's a 4-up save and a 5-up ward, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just double check our big friend here. But Kragnos, yeah, 4-up save, 18 health, 5-up ward, 15 control, right? And he's got spell ignores and things like this, right? He's pretty survivable, but if he does take some damage, then just being able to throw healing Life Swarm behind him so that he can heal up over time as he stands in the middle is fantastic. But I don't know about that. I'm not sure if it's better to have a weird knob or if it's better to have a War Chanter. I actually genuinely don't know. I know for sure it's better to have a 3rd hero because now we can call the Wa 3 times, and so you don't want to be 2 drops in Ironjawz anymore. I think you want to be Brawler. I think you want to take Kragnos because this combination is just so good. Whenever you charge anything in, if I'm not mistaken, it's still non-companion weapons. So Hack and Crew doesn't take a huge benefit from this, right? Because if we were to look at the Hack and Crew, we would see that a lot of our best attacks are companions, right? With Hack and Crew, oops, oh no. Right, with Hack and Crew, right? Our Tusks, which is our best attack, is companion, so we're not getting a die here. The Trotters isn't good. So we're only adding 2 attacks, which is not amazing, right? We're only adding 2 attacks, so it doesn't synergize super well, unfortunately. But for the rest of it, like for all of our infantry, like adding +1 attacks onto Ardboys is fantastic from Ironjawz Brawl. Same thing with Ragers. It's 6 more dice. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but they hit so hard and they have good rend, like they're anti-monster, they get where they need to be, their first strike, they're great. So I'm a big fan of this. I mean, you could also change it so that instead of this hero, you could probably fit instead, like if I were to go like, let's say just like this, I could probably take a unit of Ardboys and plug them here instead. But this, again, now we only have 2 Waz that we can call. So you could have a little bit more of an explosive turn with like 2 big, front lines of dudes coming in. But I'm not as big fan of this list. I really like having 2x6 Ragers. I feel it's good. So 40 points under. Yuck. Not great. Not great either. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to throw Ragers and Ardboys at people. I think it's still maybe a little bit light. I wish I could fit a few more dudes in here. 20 more points, eh? Unfortunately, it's just too hard to, like, it's just too hard to fit brutes in. Right? It's just too hard to fit brutes. Like, if I pull this out, I'm still short. Right? Like, this could be, I mean, this might be okay. Right? But now we only have 2 heroes, right? So I don't know. It doesn't feel super great. I'd much rather have Ragers. Ragers are just so much more value than brutes. It's like, oh, I get 4 more models for 140 points. People are always like, oh, is it worth having, you know, for 60 more points, you only get 1 more model with Ragers? And it's like, yes, but another way to think about it is it's 140 more points for 4 more models of brutes. Right? Like, it's tough. It's like, for the point value, the Ragers with their strike first is just so much better. You know? I don't know. It's just so much better. Yeah. I mean, I don't even like this at all. I would just stick with the straight up brawler list. Just like this. I'm gonna give this a try. Let me know what you think. Join the Discord. Tell me about it. And then for Gitz. So Gitz has had like Ironjawz had my list didn't really change all that much. It was just, like I said, enough to add an extra hero, which is perfect. But it's either going to be a Weird Knob or a War Chanter. I really don't know which is better. Like, the Manifestation game is huge, but that War Chanter's +1 damage is huge. But I'm not sure if it's more consistent. Like, is it just better? It's way more consistent now to get rid of Manifestations now that we have, like, the +1 for every 2 or more Manifestations that are out on the table. So that's really nice. The War Enchanter giving +1 damage is good, but it's kind of inconsistent, right? Because you need a 4 to get it off, and we're not using Magical Intervention normally to get rid of these, right? We would much rather throw Burning Head out on the table than do a chant in our opponent's turn. So it means we need a 4 up, and then we need an 8 up, and so the math gets bad because now there's like a 50% chance that you get it on the first time. But like 100% chance, well, not even 100%. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, when I first started playing with priests, I was like, okay, priests are awesome. You can chant in your opponent's turn, and then you can like get these cool like overcharged things that happen way more regularly. But that's not what happens in a manifestation meta. So at this point, I'd much rather test a second Weird Knob, to be honest, in this list. They're just gonna walk up the middle with the Ardboys, and you're gonna throw out Primal Energies. And you're going to cast Hand of Gork when you need to. So, there's no Zogrok in this list, I guess. So, you could also do, like, crit 2 hits, like Bcalm lads on Ardboys and stuff. So, not enough room for Zogrok. I would totally put Zogrok, but we only have 140 points here, so. Yeah, let me know what you think. And then for Gitz, so I have 2 lists now. Because Trolls went up in cost so much, my Trolls list has changed. I wasn't running Trug before, but now I'm 2 drops. It's Scragrot with Dank Hold and 2 reinforced units of Rock Guts. I need something that can take them. And then a reinforced unit of Bounders. So we have a flanker, and then we have a pretty solid center with Scragrot kind of riding in front. All of these things are in our General's Regiment, but they're really hard to kill. So before, it would have been something like Scragrot and the Bounders for priority target. Maybe the Dankhold for priority target as well. But Rockets are really hard to kill, so that's okay. We're not going to take Bodyguard with Scragrot. We're not going to take anything like that. And I really want to run Scragrot because I feel like in Trolls we're lacking any kind of range damage. So Scragrot's Fangs of the Bad Moon is really good. It's a good way of dealing damage. It's also a good way of making sure that that moon stays in the center of the battlefield for a minimum of 2 turns. And I think that's really important because that +1 to save on the Rockets is key. For the rest of it, it doesn't matter so much. So I really like Scragrot for that reason, and I wanted to include him. And the other hero that we have here is the Fungoid Cave Shaman with Loon Touch. Of course, we're in a manifestation meta, and he has the Clammy Cowl, not that it matters. And then we were playing with Gobapalooza. So this is like it's 4 casts / 5 casts with the Arachna Cauldron. So we're playing into that manifestation game, right? It's like we have Trolls on the front line with a Dankhold lurking, looking for an opportunistic Wade and Smash. Scragrot hanging out behind with a Fungoid Cave Shaman and Gobapalooza. And then of course we have 2 units of Hoppers. 1 unit of Hoppers to go on one flank, Bounders to go on the other flank, and then a unit of Hoppers to lurk in the back to guard the back line. Or what you can do is you can also just put the Bounders behind you and put both units of Hoppers on the flanks. Or you could put all 3 on one flank, right? Like there's a lot of mobility here and there's a lot of cavalry. And so I really like this list. I like this list quite a bit. Its big downfall is that it is 2 drops, which is both a curse and a blessing. There's a lot of units here that your opponent can kill for a battle tactic. But Scragrot's going to be safe. The Bounders are kind of open and available to be killed. But yeah, I mean, you could trade out. Yeah, but I still like priority target on the Bounders. Like if your opponent has Kragnos as their general, for example, or some other, thing that you actually want to kill, putting +1 to hit, +1 to wound Bounders into them is very strong, especially with the +1 charge, right? Or even just special assignment, saying, okay, the Bounders get +1 rend against infantry, so they're going to charge in and get +1 to rend against, and +1 damage against infantry units. Seems good to me. Or maybe you want them to play an anti-cavalry role, and special assignment is good there too. So I just really like putting that stuff on Bounders, and sometimes I also like putting it on Dankholds too. You could say monsters, right? Priority target, or special assignment, sorry, +1 rend against monsters. So the Bounders can really pop in and smash stuff. And that's really what you're going to be doing. You're not going to be using Bodyguard because Scragrot, you don't want him to get into combat. If he's in combat, that -1 to hit isn't going to make any difference for you really anyway. So you're still looking at special assignment and priority target, and mostly those things are going to be on Bounders, right? Yeah. That's the drawback of this list, is just having so many units in our General's Regiment. But then again, we are 2 drops. So, you take what you get, right, and you don't get upset. The other regiment is, of course, as I said, Fungoid, Gobapalooza, and 2 units of Hoppers. So lots and lots of cavalry. I really like this list for that reason. In my head right now, I'm thinking that the Hoppers go on the flanks, and the Bounders, you kind of keep them in reserve with priority target, waiting for something that's going to, come into you and be scary and threatening, and then you're like, bam, right? So still very good. I really like this list. It has good casting, lots of casts, and with some +1 casting, it has good center, Rockets and a Dankhold, right? 12 Rockets is still very scary, and a Dankhold too, to get in there. And then, and then good cavalry, right? You have 30 cavalry models on the table. So I really like this list. I really like it quite a bit. Can't wait to play it. And then we have a Squigalanche list. So when it comes to Squigs, so my biggest problem, I feel like I sort of misevaluated Herd at the beginning of the edition. I looked at them and I said, okay, well, and I still think that their 2 biggest let me start with their strengths. They deal actually quite a bit of damage, right? If I go down and check out some stats on Herd and Bounders and everything, and this is where I was at today with my Squigs, like thinking about a Squig list and everything, right? But Herd, just by themselves, deal almost 7 damage per 100 points, which is a lot. This is, of course, if they get the chance to deal the damage, because they're on a 6-up save. They're on a 6-up save, and they have 1 wound each. If they get hit first, they melt, and they're not fast. Herd have a very, very slow movement speed. Let's just pull them up here so we know exactly what we're talking about. Herd, they only move D6 plus 3. So 4 to 9 inches. You can re-roll under the light of the bad moon, but sometimes they're just going to flop and they're only going to be moving like 5 inches. They're not going to be getting where you need them to be able to attack. And if they get charged, or if they get shot, or if spells come at them or manifestations come at them, if they don't get to charge, then they melt and they kind of suck. So that's a big problem. And so because of that, I think that Kragnos is kind of the answer. If you want to play Squigs, it helps with their biggest weakness, which is they're slow and they're squishy. Well, Kragnos makes them fast, and if they're able to charge, then they still are squishy, but you're at least trading, right? If I were to look at a unit of reinforced Squigs with Squigalanche's Bouncing Fury and with a boss, they're dealing a huge amount of damage. Right? Some of this is going to be mortal wounds, but it's like 26 damage. It's 8.3 damage per 100 points, and as all the models die, they're going to be dealing an additional 8 mortal wounds as they sort of go away too. So you're looking at like 34 damage, some of which is mortal wounds. So like, seems good to me, right? Seems good to me. It is a lot of damage, but I think that I'm thinking that you really kind of need Kragnos. Being able to get the herd where you need them to be is going to feel really good. They can't run and charge, right? But you do get to reroll that move under the light of the bad moon. So hopefully, you're getting like 7-inch move, right? Which is 4 plus, it's D6 plus 3, right? So hopefully you're getting 7. And then these guys can charge like 10, so it's 17. So the movement's getting up there. It also means that the Squigalanche's Bouncing Fury ability is way more likely to go off with Kragnos, right? Because you have such a long charge, you're going to be more likely to be successful in those charges. And then when that Squigalanche goes off, like if we look at the reinforced unit of Herd, it's like 13.75 damage, so we're 6.9 damage per 100 points. But let me just do the math. I didn't do this one. 19.33 divided by 200. So it's like, oh my god, it's like 9.7. Right? The efficiency of Herd. And then it's more than this. It's more than this. So it's 19.33. Oh no, sorry, that's with the Squig boss. I mean with Bouncing Fury. Sorry. So it's 9.1 damage per 100 points. This math here changes because it's 19.33, but it's divided by 310 points, right? So it's actually back to 6.2. The Squig boss, surprisingly, as I went through the list, was surprisingly inefficient, right? Because like if we add a Squig boss, we're adding mortal wounds. Like I guess it's like you see the difference here against a 2-up save. So a reinforced unit of Herd against a 2-up save is dealing 6.8 damage per 100, or 6.8 damage. And with the Squig boss, it jumps up to almost 15 damage. So the Squig boss is better against higher save targets and is worse. See, like a reinforced unit of Herd is dealing about 21 damage against a 6-up save, but 24 damage against a 6-up save with the Squig boss. So whatever, like as you're deciding where you want to use your Squig boss, you send it into the better saves, right? If 2 units of Herd are going in, whatever unit you're fighting that has a higher save, that's the one that you use the Squig boss with, because that's where you're going to get your value. Absolutely. So, but they deal tons and tons of damage if they get to charge. So play Kragnos. Right, play Kragnos. Okay, so here's the rest of the list. So I'm just talking about Kragnos and Herd. So Kragnos is in a regiment with Rock Guts. Just 3 Rock Guts. They're going to take Bodyguard. They're just going to shadow Kragnos. They're going to stay within 6. They're going to block out any units that are going to try to come in and get them from the flank. All they are is a screen. Keep them within 6 inches, right? And then Kragnos can move in and, get that Bodyguard -1 attacks. And the Rock Guts are just going to prevent everybody from piling on to Kragnos while he still stays within 3 inches. All that they're doing is trying to zone out the second and third row of your opponent's infantry on the front line from being able to get their attacks in. You're telling them, you're like, you're going to have to split your attacks between my rock guts that have a, you know, a 3-up save and a 5-up ward, and they still heal every turn. They don't heal after they fight, but they still heal quite regularly, and Kragnos is going to be there too. So -1 attacks with Bodyguard. Sick. I think this is the way to go for sure with Kragnos. You kind of have to keep him alive, and you want your opponent to be really afraid of him. So, yep, very strong. You can also go with Primal Energy here to heal him up, because we don't have a ton of casting, right? We're going to have, but I don't know. The Everdank stuff is pretty good. It's pretty good. Mork's Mighty Mushroom is good. Arachna Cauldron is very good. You know, there's all kinds of good stuff. Okay, next regiment, we have a Fungoid Cave Shaman with Loon Touched. This, of course, just gives him +1 to cast. So with Arachna Cauldron, he's a 2+1 caster. I mean, you have to tank that, the lore of the Everdank, right? You need that Arachna Cauldron. And then we have a reinforced unit of Fanatics. Fanatics are sick. Strike first. Very good. You don't need anything else with them. You don't need Stabas or Shootas. You don't need to deploy them in reserve. None of those things. Because of that 3d6 charge, they're just going to move up the board, and you're going to throw them into something, and they have first strike, and they're going to kill whatever it is. This is like a real hammer list. And then 2 units of Hoppers. We're just going to throw Hoppers up the flanks. Right? They can be used for take the flanks and take their land and all this. Right? So that's kind of what they're there for, just to be on the flanks. And then we have, finally, in our 3rd regiment, a Squig Boss with a Clammy Cowl, not that it matters, and 2 reinforced unit of Herd. So when I envision this list, I envision... Here, we might as well do that, eh? I envision having Kragnos in the center with his Rock Guts. Here, let's do this properly. Create single player, boom, Age of Sigmar 4th edition. Bam. All the Gitz. Boom. So here we have Kragnos. He's going to be deployed sort of front and center, as he always is, right? And then we have a unit of 3 Rockets that are going to just hang out with him. These Rockets, again, they're just acting as a bodyguard, so they're just going to go in, you know, and be in a position that you think your opponent's going to come in at you. They can also just sort of block out the front. All that is totally fine. But in this case, I think I'm going to put them just off to the center here, just behind this piece of terrain. So they're going to be there, and they're going to help block out or whatever, right? Okay, and then we have 2 bricks of Herd. So 1 brick of Herd is going to be right here, and then another brick of Herd is going to be on the other side. In fact, I could, even if I wanted to, line them up just like this and throw them 1 brick after the other brick, just like one after the other, right? But I think for now I might just leave it here. Kragnos' aura is pretty big, right? So it's like after he moves up, but both herd are going in. In fact, maybe this deployment isn't all that great. Maybe this unit of Herd should also be like on this front line somehow. And so we're just going to throw the Herd in at the very beginning of the game, right? And that's kind of the idea, right? We have a Herder here, whatever, and a Herder here. But you guys get the idea. The Herd are going in, right? The Rockets are here to be a bodyguard, but the Herd are definitely going in first. We're going to do everything we can to bring things back out of the Loon Shrine. So we're going to try to keep it in a safe position. Where are the objectives here? Border Wars. There we go. Right, so maybe we're going to send a Herd left and a Herd right, and then maybe my Loon Shrine is just going to be back here. Cool. Oh no, I guess it could go like up here too. Maybe up here might be cool, right? And then maybe my Rockets are going to go try to take this side, stay under the light of the bad moon. But you sort of get the idea. And then we have reinforced unit of Fanatics, so they can sort of go behind, and they're ready for like the next wave. And then where's our Hoppers? Here's Hoppers. So we have a unit of Hoppers on one flank, and then a unit of Hoppers on the other flank. Is this too many Hoppers? Nope, it's 10 Hoppers. right? 10 hoppers are going to come up this way. 10 hoppers are going to come up this way. When Kragnos moves his 10 inches into the middle of the map, right, he will have a 12-inch aura, which means that, you know, like units that are up here can still 3d6 charge. So if we were to throw our bounders up into a spot that they were still wholly within 12 inches, right, they can still charge and complete our battle tactics on the side. So they don't have to go all the way out here. They can actually come closer into the center if you wanted them to, so that they can move up and still get a 3d6 charge from that Kragnos aura, but you'll have to kind of check it out for yourself and see how it feels for you. And then we still have our Squigboss. So our Squigboss is just going to go in a spot where he is able to buff the herd that need buffing, because that's primarily what we're going to be buffing with him. And then finally we have a Fungoid Cave Shaman, who again is just going to be hanging out the back casting spells, doing his thing. Right? But that's the list. But look how many bodies you have, and everything just gets chucked. Everything is just going to get thrown into our opponent's face, right? So much herds, fanatics, everything. So all that you're doing in this list is just chucking things sort of one at a time or two at a time at your opponent. Your opponent trades with them, and then you're going to bring them back from the Loon Shrine. Keeping the Loon Shrine in a list like this is very important. So you want to keep it safe. I don't know. It's like a trade-off, right? Because like it gives that Light of the Bad Moon in a 12-inch aura, right? So, and then wherever you put your Malevolent Moon, just keep it with the Rockets to make sure that they get that. +1 save, right? Very, very, very important. But yeah, like sick lists. Like I like it. If you want to do a Squigalanche list, I think this is the way to go, for sure. The other list is more straightforward with the Rock Guts, right? We have 2x6 Rock Guts, so they're going to be, you know, just positioned more in a central location. Here, they're going to move out and try to take these two different objectives, right, on the side. And yep, we have our Dankhold, who's going to be hanging out, trying to look for an opportunity to wade and smash. You know, we have hoppers on one side, bounders on the other side, our heroes in the back. Very straightforward, very easy. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I just love seeing that list on the table. It's a lot more units than it actually looks like. It's quite scary. Squignos, right? It's the Squignos list. Anyway, let me know what you think. I mean, right now, realistically, there's 4 lists that I'm playing in Greenskinz. Trolls, Squigs, Ironjawz, Kruleboyz. And I think I'm going to play around more with Killbow. I'm kind of feeling that's my meta in my area right now. So yeah, let me know what you think. What kind of lists are you playing? Like, subscribe. Wah.